Hey fam, welcome back. So I know in our previous video it was part 1, why I was gone, and my attempt. This will be part 2 and my hospitalization. I don't know why I can't say that word. But anyway, so I left off being in the hospital and getting to the room that they put you in before they find you a room in inpatient. An inpatient is where they hold you for like a week-long basis or 2 weeks, however long they deem worthy. But before I get into that, I just want to say welcome back. As you can tell, I'm a little more chipper today. Remembering what happened during hospitalization was just, it was like actually a good time for me. It was a pretty good time for me. So out here I have like all of my stuff of when I was an inpatient and stuff. And I have like, I'm wearing PJs because these were actually the PJs I wore when I was in inpatient, and we couldn't wear bras, so I have a sports bra on too, and I thought might as well wear no makeup because you couldn't really wear makeup either. So hopefully I don't regret this decision, because I don't really like to be barefaced. Like every day I like to be barefaced, but like when people see me, I don't really like to be barefaced. And especially because I do not have eyebrows. Naturally, I just don't have them. So anyway, we'll get back to what happened when I got put into that room. So after detoxing for like 5 to 6 hours, and like I said, I was like super shaky and everything, I got put into this little room, and it has nothing in it. It's completely blank, like nothing on the walls. It's just like a white color or something like that, and there's nothing on the walls, and all that is in the room is just a little bed, and it doesn't have anything on it. Like it's just this one tiny little bed, and I'm pretty sure it was like a plastic mattress, and it's just this little mattress, and that's it in the entire room. No paintings, no nothing. That's it, just a bed in a room. And at that moment, I remember I was just freaking out. Like I was like crying, and Frank was really angry because I was just freaking out. I was like, I don't want to be in here. Like I was terrified. There was like this kid or this guy, I don't know, in this one room. He was just screaming, like screaming his head off, and was saying like scary things. And I was just like, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be trapped in this room, and I'm just gonna be hearing screams all night, and like who knows if I'm ever gonna get out of here and stuff like that. I'm somebody who, like, isolation is a really big fear of mine, and anyone who knows me knows I hate being alone. Like, I thrive by people. I thrive by communication and feeling like hugging, and I'm just a people person. And even though I can be introverted at times, or like especially if I'm anxious and like I can be very awkward with people, I still love being around people, at like especially my family, like, or if I'm comfortable with you, then like I just love it. So being in this room, I just started freaking out, like having an anxiety attack, and I was like crying and like begging Frank, like please don't let me stay in this room, please. I can't do this. And he was like, do you want to go home? And I was like, yes, like I want to go home. Like I don't want to stay in this room. And I didn't know that you actually go to another place. I didn't know that that's where they hold you before you go to inpatient. So I was freaking out, thinking I was gonna stay in this white little room for who knows how long, just trapped in there like in a prison cell, like an inmate. And I was just like, why am I getting punished? Like, I don't understand. It felt like I was getting punished for what I did, and I was just so scared. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I can't be here. And Frank was like, all right, you want to leave? So Frank actually kept going out to like this person that was at the desk there, outside of the room, and he kept being like, no, we're going home. And the guy was like, Frank Frank was getting the guy really angry, and like they kind of just like kept bickering back and forth. And he was like, no, she can't be in here, she can't do this, like she can't be in here. And Frank was just like really sticking up for me, which was nice. But he kept just like yelling at the guy. And then I was still having some effects too, like I was still shaking. And this guy kept coming into the room, and he was like, do you want some medication? I could give you some medication to calm your nerves. And I was like, no. Like, I was like, I don't want to take any medication. I refuse. Like, I'm not taking any medication, because I'm thinking in my mind, like, they're just going to zonk me out. I'm going to be a zombie. And that's it. Like, it's going to be like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I'm just going to be like dead, just totally brain dead, zombified. So I was like, no, I don't want any medication. And I'm just like scared and everything. And Frank was like, you see her, like, you see how she is, like, look at her condition, like, she can't stay in here any longer. And then finally they moved me to another room, and I was in that room. It was like another one of these rooms with just a bed, but they let me like sleep in there for a little bit, and Frank and I just laid on the bed together, and he just gave me comfort. And then this lady came in, after hours of being in that room. This lady came in, and she had to ask me all these questions, and Frank had to go out of the room, and she had to ask me all these like personal questions, and just my history and history of self-harm, and a little bit more about why I did what I did and what brought me to it, and just things like that. And then finally, when they had space for a room, they allowed me to move to inpatient. So going to inpatient I was very, very scared. Like, I was definitely very like wide-eyed, and I was super shy. And I was like kind of uncomfortable, because I was just wearing, I'm pretty sure I was wearing like just like a hospital gown at that point. And I kept asking, like, throughout this whole ordeal, I just kept asking for deodorant, because I smelled so bad. Like I said on my first video, when I get really anxious, like, I sweat a lot, and like I hadn't put on deodorant, and I was at the hospital all night. So I just kept asking like nurses and stuff for deodorant, and every time they'd be like, yeah, like I'll get you some deodorant or something, but they never gave it to me. So I was just very, very like self-conscious of like, I smelled so bad, and I just kept being like, but they brought me into inpatient, and I was just wearing like a hospital gown, or like or hospital pants that they give you. I don't remember, but it was like hospital stuff. I was just like scared and wide-eyed, and totally just like looking around, and was just being very observant. And they were very nice to me, though. I remember like one of the girls came up to me and was like, oh, like, you're new? And I was like, yeah. And she was really nice to me, and that made me feel good. And to see a girl around my age, I was like, wow, like, that was cool. But something that really took me by surprise was that a lot of the people there were much, much older than I expected. I don't know why. I always had this thought that like a psych ward would have just like a lot of like teenagers and college kids, I guess, because of just, I don't know, I just like assumed that. But most of the people there were actually like much, much older, and actually like a lot of seniors too. So this was kind of like the breakdown of when I first got there. So the first things they gave me when I got there was this folder, and here was my room number, right here. And then I had my folder with like all my papers and stuff that are over here. And they give you like a checklist of all the things you can't have, because they tell you could ask a relative, you can talk to a relative, and they could bring more PJs in for you. But these this was the list of things that you could not have. So it's a lot. You couldn't have, well, it was actually like a checklist like that. And on the back as well. And then there are things that were prohibited, limited, restricted, and supervised. And if it was prohibited, it was not permitted on the unit at any time. And if it was limited, it was permitted, but amounts were limited. And then if it was restricted, you could use it, but it had to be during designated times, and it had to be monitored by staff. And then it had to be taken away or like secured when you weren't using it. They would lock it away. And then supervised, you may use only in direct supervision. And that would be like a shaver, for example. So here were some of the things. Alcohol-based toiletries, alcoholic beverages, of course, battery-operated music devices, belts, suspenders, beverages of any kind, cameras, recording devices, canes, crutches, caps, hats, bandanas, CDs, cell phones, pagers, personal computers, chains, necklaces, clothes hangers, clothing. You could only have a limit to 3 days of clothes, coats, computers, laptops, iPads, Kindles, crafts or needlepoint, dental floss, drawstring pants, jackets, eating utensils, food of any kind, hair picks, hair remover, heavy boots, hooded sweatshirts, illegal substances, of course, or paraphernalia, jewelry, leggings, lighters or matches, makeup, medication, other than prescribed by the people who gave you your medication, metal, glass or sharp instruments, money, music or gaming systems with cord or headphones, nail clippers, files, tweezers, nylon hosiery, like tights, I don't know how to say that, personal bedding, pillowcases or stuffed animals, personal care with cords, plastic bags, Q-tips, razors, safety trays, scissors, shoes with laces, smoking materials, suitcases, tampons, toiletries, underwire bras, valuables, vases, weapons or mace, or wire-bound notebooks. So yeah, all of these were either, like I said, prohibited, limited, restricted, or supervised. So yeah, imagine going there and then being like, yeah, you can't have like anything. All you can have are the clothes on your back, and that's about it. So Frank brought these pajamas. These were actually pajamas that I wore when I was there. So yeah, that was really shocking, just not being able to have any of your stuff, and not being able to have like your phone or just anything whatsoever. That was definitely like really hard. So I'm gonna go through kind of like the cons when I was there, and sorry I'm like reading it, I wrote it down because I have a really bad memory, but these were like some of the cons. And once again, I understand why, because who knows what could happen, and they just have to make sure that everyone is safe. So I kind of broke down the cons and the pros and then like middle ground. So for cons, you had a 15-minute check. Every 15 minutes, your room would get checked, and they would knock on the door or open the door and just make sure, you know, you weren't doing anything bad or anything like that. The other con was that the bathroom, there was a bathroom in your room. Underneath the doors, it was so high. So because I'm a short person, being in the bathroom, like I feel like you could see me, and that, I don't know, I'm just one of those people where I get like pee shy and stuff, or definitely like poop shy. So that was really uncomfortable for me. Another thing was like the blankets were really thin, and The pillow was just a pillow, but the blanket was really thin, so I had to get like multiple blankets because I was really cold. And then you couldn't have anything, like I said, besides your PJs. And then you couldn't have like chapstick. Like my lips were so chapped. I remember them being just totally like cracked, and ugh, it was my lips were just so dry and like they were hurting, because you can have like your own chapstick. So I remember asking for a chapstick, and the one they gave me was disgusting. I actually made everyone try it there because it was like kind of like a little game because it was that bad. And putting it on made your lips like tingle and burn, but not in the good kind of way. Like not like a minty kind. Like it was just it was just awful. It was so bad. All creams and lotions had to be unlocked for use, and then you had to give it right back after you used it. If you shaved, you had to be washed. It was always pretty cold. I remember going around like to group therapy, and I would always have like a blanket on me because I was freezing all the time. And some of the counselors were like or like some of the staff there were okay. I would say most of them, like they were all like pretty nice, but you know, you would have one or two that were just like, like they were whatever. Oh, you would have to wake up at like 8 every day. Like you could sleep in, but then you would miss breakfast and you would miss group therapy and just like a couple different group therapies, and that's not good. Like if you miss group, then the more classes you miss, the longer you have to stay basically, because they have to see that you're, you know, getting better, responding well and everything, and kind of getting yourself back to doing things and showering and, you know, getting yourself, you know, being able to do things again. So you had to wake up early, and I am not a morning person whatsoever. And because I have fibro, getting up is very hard for me. So having to get up, I was always like I was always super dead, and people would like talk to me. Like I'd sit there at breakfast and people would like try to talk to me, and I'd just be like, oh, okay. Or like right when I would wake up, they would always pull me in to talk to like a psychiatrist or the doctor. And I would always be so tired, and my eyes would be like this. And they'd be like, oh, so how was your night? Did you sleep well? Blah, blah, blah. Ask me all these questions. And I would always just be so out of it and like all crazy because like I just got out of bed and like all this stuff. Like my breath was probably kicking. And then sometimes you would get bored at night, because like after dinner and after your last group, like there wasn't that much to do. But usually we would like hang out and stuff like that. Another thing I forgot to mention is that one night they woke me up at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something, and they were like, all right, we have to take blood. So I was like in bed, and they had to take blood because they have to see like how your nutrients are and everything, and I don't know why else, but they have to take your blood. So I was in bed, and they start trying to like put the needle in me, and like they could not find my vein. I don't know if I was dehydrated or not, but my vein like just kept rolling. And then the guy, like, I don't know if he wasn't that experienced, but my friend used to be a nurse who was in the room with me. And she was like, oh yeah, I heard that. I'm so sorry, Karen. She was like, I wanted to go and help you, but they like, of course, have to do it. So finally they got the needle in, and then all of a sudden I started getting, because I was like sitting up in bed kind of like that, like super tired, and then I started getting like really woozy and like sweating, and then I was like, whoa, and I practically like kind of like almost fainted. And then they're like, oh my gosh, okay, like sit back, lay down. And then I laid down, and then they brought me water and like crackers and like little cookies or something, and I had to eat them because like I don't know if I passed out like really quickly or if I like almost passed out. I'm not really sure, but I had to drink the water and eat the crackers. And apparently my doctor told me, which I pretty much already knew this, that I have orthostatic hypotension, because constantly they would, every single day, that was another thing I forgot to mention, every day in the morning at like 7:30 or something, they would come in, pull this big cart in, and take your blood pressure and your, I don't know, they, like, you know that thing they put on your finger and then they do the thing on your arm? So they did that every single day, and I was always, always, always very, very low. And that happens to my mom too. It runs in my family. Like, I guess we have low blood pressure or something like that. So, and when we stand, we like can faint. Some of my family members do faint. It's something they have to be careful with. And he said, this is like the card he gave me, and he was like, oh yeah, orthostatic hypotension. So that was something I knew I already had, basically because of it happened my whole life, and it happens to my family as well, but he actually like diagnosed it finally. Another thing is that I forgot to mention was that after you get your blood work and everything, if your nutrients or your little scale of how your body is doing isn't looking good enough, then you have to drink like a, I don't know if it was Pediasure, but I had to drink it, and they were like, oh no, you have to drink this. And every day when you would hand in your food, you have to tell them if you finished it or not. And every day I'd be like, yep, I ate all my food and everything. But for some reason, for like 2 days, they tried to give me like a Pediasure drink along with my meal. And I was like, I was so confused. I was like, why am I getting this? Like, I'm not here for like anorexia or anything. But I think it's because of like my blood work. I don't know. But the one day I didn't drink it, I was just like, that's probably not good to say, but I ate all my food every single day, every meal, plus snack time. So I didn't drink it. It tasted terrible. The one day I did, and then the next day I was like, nope. But yeah. So I think that's mainly it. I might have left some things out, but in the future, you guys can always ask. If you have any other questions, you can always ask me. Either in the comments or on my Instagram. My Instagram is KarenFuika4. But thank you so much for watching again. Bye.